Boom, boom, ba-da-da.
If you ever see the boy from me, tell him that I love him. Tell him that I care. If he ever needs me, tell him I'll be there. It happened.
Hey guys, this is one of those songs I don't get tired of listening to, man. You know what I mean? Especially looking at the pictures, listening to the oldie, man. It just takes us back in time. You know what I mean? Not when we were kids, but when we were cops working wherever. If you were working Folsom, I was working CMC, working Logan Heights. You were working in San Isidro or Logan Heights downtown, Sean, and you. Big Gabe working in Seattle. Dude, we all have beautiful memories of this song, where we were at in time, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hey, guys, we got a great show today, but before we get started, I just want to send out everybody that's watching us. Big Mike Martinez. Let me make sure I got all this going on right. Here we go. We got Big Mike Martinez watching us all the way from Colorado. Mike, I saw your message. I'm glad you read that comment that your probation officer wrote about you and your brother. Brother, when I read that, I was so proud to call you my brother, Mike, because you know what? Hearing it from somebody that you were supervising, how great of a job you did and how great of a man and how you impacted somebody's life, brother, that is something to be proud of, and God bless you. Thank you. We have our sister, Nancy Mosqueda. I know, sister, you've been to hell and back, but you know what? Heaven is waiting for both of us, sister. God bless you and thank you for your love and everything you do for us. We got Big VJ Juarez. We can't wait, VJ, to hear your comments on today's episode. It's going to be outstanding. And we got our brother D's, saying work in the morning, great line in the afternoon, and church in the evening. Gotta love Wednesdays. Brother, all I could say, it doesn't get better than that. What a blessing. And we got 506 Gangster. Let me bring him up real quick. We got 506 Gangster watching us all the way from Costa Rica. God bless you, brother. Mil gracias. And we got Big Robert Lopez, man, a legend with San Diego in the house. We got Lupe watching us. God bless you, Lupe. To you and your familia. We got Agente, Agent Oranga, 6806. I was working in Port of San Isidro in the 90s. God bless you, brother. I probably met you. If I didn't, I know for sure you met Sean, right, Sean?
Probably, yeah, down at the port, yeah.
And especially in the 90s.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sean was a legend over there, and I'll tell you, he did some great work in San Isidro. We got G. Robert D 98. Hello from Glendale, Arizona. I'm going to be in Arizona in Tempe on the 9th, teaching a PTSD class there in Tempe for the Postal Service. They're having a big conference, so maybe I'll send you my email. We could get together and at least hug, brother, just so we could talk a little bit. We got 12 gauge investigative. Hey, you guys. Hey, brother. Thank you for joining us. Please, like we always say, please hit the like button and subscribe. And guys, I got to stop here because we got so much to cover. We got part 213 with a big smile and con respeto, saludes desde Guadalajara, Jalisco. Saludes, hermano, from Guadalajara, Jalisco. Thank you for watching us, brother. You're going to enjoy today's show. Guys, before we get started, let me just, I called it a shout out, but it's more of a day in remembrance. You know, Gabe, you always talk about one of your mentors, and every time you talk to him, you mention him. I could see the light in your eyes. I could see the love that you shared for that man, and it was Moco. What was his full name, Gabe?
Robert Morel was his real name, but they call him El Moco or El Moco Verde. What's his real moniker? I think we talked about that in a previous show.
And he was a sergeant, right? Was he a sergeant or a lieutenant with?
Yeah, he was a detective sergeant.
Okay.
With Monterey Park Police Department when they first discovered the MA doing hits on the calles, when they started letting those guys out in the early 70s, and then got it sped up through the mid 70s. So he was busy there doing investigations, gang investigations, became the coordinator of the California Gang Task Force.
And he was a giant in your life, correct? You are who you are because you walked under his shadow, correct?
Right.
You could say that without a doubt. And you know what, brother? This man right here, you had the privilege of meeting him because we were both on your show, I believe, once or twice. Carlos Chacon, he was my giant in my life. I've had several giants, but he's one, as much as you loved Robert Morel, aka El Moco Verde, dude, this man right here, I loved him heart and soul. And you know what? God took him last year. It was a crazy accident. Fell off the ladder, breaks his neck, has a heart attack. At the early age, I believe he was 72 years old. The man was a legend with San Diego PD. And you know what? Yesterday was his birthday. We honored him on Ash Wednesday, on the Gray Line. And today we're going to honor him with a toast. And to Carlos Chacon, carnal, you're now an angel in heaven. Protect us all, brother, and hope to see you very soon. Godspeed. Salud, Carlos.
Shalom.
And Sean, you also had a chance to work around Carlos. What a legend.
He was a character, dude. He was a character. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? Every time I think about him, brother, you know what? My heart still breaks for him. But you know what? We love you, Carlos. And I say that. And I know, Gabe, you feel it. And I know, Sean, you had mentors, giants in your life. So we know what we're feeling right now and every day since his passing. And guys, with that said, my wife volunteers. We're going to go real quick with this because we have a great show. But my wife volunteers at a place called Dogs Incorporated, which is in Palmetto, about 20 miles to the south of us. It's a college campus where they basically breed and train seeing eye dogs, therapy dogs, PTSD dogs, different dogs, and the majority of them are Labrador dogs. And since my wife has been there for close to 4 years now, training these dogs at this basically college campus, we were able to adopt a dog yesterday, and we got our first dog, a therapy dog, a beautiful dog. Her name is Dovey Contreras, and she is now part of our family. She is now, and she's a therapy dog. She's one of those dogs that, you know, she could feel your stress level. She could feel, and she just comes, she stands right next to me. I got some other pictures that my wife took, but I'm too embarrassed to show because it shows a chavala that I am. Dude, I'm laying on the ground and the dog's on top of me, just licking on me. And, you know, sometimes that's all we need. Sometimes that's all we need. And you know what? This little dog right here, she's going to be a blessing to us, and we're going to be a blessing to her. So we have a new family member. Her name is Davi Contreras. But guys, before I get started, just go around real quick what we're drinking. I just want to tell you, Gabe, I heard about, well, I read because you were the one that gave us the information on Facebook about that 6.1, 6.2 earthquake that you had. Can you share a little bit with us of what happened?
It happened a few days ago. It happened about I think 9:45. So me and my wife, we're just starting to go to sleep, and then I jumped out of bed because it felt like the house had dropped 10 feet. Um, we live on the Big Island, so there's an active volcano here called Kilauea that goes off probably about every 2 weeks for the last year and a half. So we get a lot of earthquakes from that. But this was different. I understand this was on our side of the island, very close to us. And what happened, they said, was that the island dropped because of its sheer weight, because of all these volcano activities. There's a lot of lava. So there's new landmass that's added to the island constantly, and it finally just became so heavy it dropped. And that's exactly what it felt like. It was scary. Now we live on lava rocks. Our place is built on lava rocks, so it's like big softball sized lava rocks. So it was like marbles. First it dropped, and then it rolled around. It was very, very
Really?
scary. Even though it was a 6.0, it felt like an 8.0. It was extremely scary.
And Gabe, did you have any damage? I saw some of the pictures you posted on Facebook.
Mhm.
I guess some of your books, some of your shelves fell down. Was there any damage,
Right.
major damage in the island?
There was some people had their houses come down. I actually found out later because initially you get the initial reaction, you survey the place, and like I said, we had food that the refrigerator door opened, food fell on the floor, pictures came down crashing, some glass broke from some of the frames, all the books came off my shelf, anything that wasn't really tied down well came down, pots, pans, dishes, but we had one building, we call it a ohana, a guest house, that the
Mhm.
the wall is almost falling off now. So that I have to resecure that, rebuild that. So people had damage. Boulders came down on the roads. They had to close the highways. Big giant car-sized boulders came down across some of the roads, and yeah, it was scary, man. It was
Yeah,
scary.
but brother, we were praying for you as soon as I
Yeah.
saw that. We said prayers for you. We're still praying for you, for the island, for our people, and for you and your beautiful wife, brother. Blessings.
Yes, blessings.
And you know what? We got Omar Garcia, Cubo Contreras, saludos from the veteranos from Sherman Grant Hill Park. I remember working shelf Grant Hill Park. Sean, I know you did too. He
Yeah.
talked about Hergy, Felix,
Felix.
Roach, and Kilby. Here's Kilby right here. Kilby's going to come on right now. And you know what? I remember Omar Garcia. I don't know if I remember. I would have to see your picture. But I remember one of your homies, one of the veteranos. I thought he was dead, but I just saw him on Facebook a couple of months ago. Clyde Gomez. Clyde Gomez, he's one of the ones that broke my record. I arrested him 3 times in one day, twice for 11,550, and I finally got him for 30,56 for parole violation, sent him back for a year. But you know what, Clyde Gomez, I'm glad he's doing well. God bless him. I'm glad he's still alive and that he's turned his life around. But yeah, I remember the Sherman Heights boys, without a doubt. But guys, let's go around real quick. We'll start off with you, Big Gabe. What are you drinking? And I see, oh, by the way, Gabe, I sent you those cigars. You should be getting them in 2 weeks. They were charging me to go first class, $40. And I go, come on, man. So I go, you know what? Just send them the lowest class. And then it was like 14, $15. But you know what? You're going to get a box on my behalf. So next time you come on in July, you're going to have one of my cigars. But what are you drinking, brother?
All right. I'm looking forward to it because I'm running out here. So I'm smoking an argoil, like gargoyle without the
Okay,
G,
good cigar.
and then it's a nice kind of tropical day here, and I kind of feel like I was uh ready for some. It's a spice rum. It's just like Bacardi. Your good stuff, but it's about half the price. Again from Kirkland, from Costco. And so, so I just put just a little bit of Coke in it to take off, just a little bit of sweetness, not too much, to take off the little bit of the after bite, but it's pretty smooth
Yeah.
as it
And how
is.
is it with the cigar? Does it give the cigar a better taste?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. I feel like I'm right now, like I'm in Cuba or Puerto Rico or something right now. It's a nice day here. So.
Dominican Republic. Hey, what about you, Big Sean? What do you I know you're not smoking today, but you're building your new cigar room in the garage. But I
Oh,
saw
yeah.
this beautiful cup. Tell us about that cup, brother.
Okay, this is for Gabe. This is my big Huna cup from Kuwait. So I was there years ago and I saw the cup and I liked it and bought it. So, but right now I just got coffee in it. It's kind of chilly over here today. Chilly and windy. Yeah, it's kind of chilly. So,
Hey, salud. And salud one more time to Carlos Chacon and Gabe. Salud to you with the islands and prayers for you and our brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters in the islands, brother. You guys just got hit with a huge storm too, right, Gabe? And then all of a sudden now an earthquake.
Oh yeah. We had a really bad storm too that did some damage. So yeah, we just rolled with the punches. Hey, but we're still here. We're alive. We're blessed.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you
I don't complain too much.
And you have internet.
Well,
And you have internet.
yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'm still connected to the rest of the world. Not totally isolated. We're kind of out in the boonies of Hawaii, but we love it here. It's very quiet, peaceful.
Well, brothers, today we're going to have a controversial show today. The gentleman that was going to join us, the ex-convict, it's better that he doesn't join us. The only reason why is because we're going to be mentioning certain names, and I don't want to put anybody's life. I'm not saying his life is in danger. It's not in danger at all whatsoever. But I don't want to put anybody that has done time because, like I said, we're going to be mentioning some names, and anybody that's done time, God forbid that anything ever happens, that they're confronted by individuals when we mention names. So I decided not to have them, but we will have them in the near future. But with that said, guys, last week we had a great episode talking about the Mexican mafia. The week before, the 3 weeks before, you talked about the Aryan Brotherhood, talked about the Nuestra Familia. Spent a lot of time Nuestra Familia. But during last week's episode, this topic came up, and Sean and I decided, I think that we should tackle this head on. And it's two topics. Number one, marijuana. It's legal in California. It's legal, I don't know in how many states, but the majority of the states. Here in Florida, it's not legal yet. You do have marijuana. You have to have a doctor's prescription, not for ordinary use, but in other states they are. And today we're going to talk about not state prisons, federal prisons, only one state prison or Department of State Prisons, and that's the California Department of Corrections. And let me make it very clear. We're not talking about federal prisons today. We're not talking about Arizona prisons. We're not talking about Texas prisons. We're talking about California Department of Corrections. And Gabe, this is new because when you and I were there in the 80s, they didn't have rehabilitation. It was California Department of Corrections. It was prison was for punishment, and it still is, but now they've added rehabilitation. And that's why I think that today's topic, it's an interesting topic. And let's just talk about it as camaradas. Let's talk about it as friends, as brothers. What do you guys think? Let me bring this up right here. If the California Department of Corrections, I believe last year they had close to 66 murders. And Hector Bravo, if you're watching, you probably are, brother. We love you. We love your show. You're probably going to correct me. You're absolutely right. It's probably 87 or whatever. But in the last 2-3 years, they've had over 100 or 99 murders. The violence within the prison system. And Gabe, you and I, we've walked the prison yards. And I know you worked at 2 major prisons. I didn't. I opened Donovan, nothing compared to Folsom, new Folsom, old Folsom. I worked at CMC, a PC joint, but a joint is a joint. A prison is a prison. We've had a lot of guys from St. Quentin who were there during the 80s when St. Quentin was blowing up. Now, one of the things that I have seen, and Sean, you mentioned it, if you don't mind mentioning it again, how many times you went to a radio call if somebody's drunk compared to marijuana? It's all yours, Sean.
How many times did I show up to somebody's house when they're on pot versus?
No, alcohol versus marijuana.
Probably more alcohol, and those were always the more violent. I'm not saying that a guy that was token up, he couldn't get violent. Especially when the Sherm and all that, the PCP was hot and heavy. That was a whole different story. But usually when you show up with somebody who's been got alcohol on board, all of a sudden the Dutch courage comes out and they want to fight everybody and whatnot. With pot, it was just like, like the old like the first Cheech and Chong movie, Up in Smoke. They were like mellow yellow here, So yeah, for the most part, it was, they're calm, cool, and collected for the most part. But like I said, with the SHRM and the PCP,
And you know what, Sean? I worked Central Division for 7 years, the first 7 years of my career. And Central Division covers downtown, covers Sherman Heights, covers Lomas, covers Logan Heights. It covers that whole area, Central Division. I was assigned there for 7 years of my career. During those 7 years, I could tell you, I went to probably hundreds of radio calls of domestic violence where the husband or the wife is drunk as a skunk, beating the hell out of the husband, the hell out of the wife, hell out of the kids, kicking the dog under the influence of alcohol. And when we got there, first thing, Gabe, I don't know if you ever worked patrol, but when we got there, I can tell you right now, numerous stories. If the husband was drunk and the wife is there against the wall with a black eye and the kids are crying, the minute we're trying to arrest the husband, this happened to me, and I know it happened to you, Sean, several times. As we're arresting the husband, all of a sudden he wants to get froggy with us, wants to fight. So the fight is on. Next thing you know, I'm choking him out on the ground. And next thing you know, the wife gets a sartén and comes up and starts whacking me, either that or with the broom or with the stick. And he just beat the shit out of her. And I'm fighting with this guy. My partner's fighting, holding the kid. Dude, it turns into a mess, all because of alcohol. And Gabe, and I think that you and I can also share a story. How many times in prison were the inmates loaded on Pruno? And if you don't mind, tell our viewers what Pruno is in prison.
Right. So Pruno is inmate manufactured alcohol. They make it in their cells, usually. They will put it in bags, usually. And so then they put it near a heating source. They put in fruit, oranges, ketchup packets, anything you can find as far as the fruit. And then they'll get bread. They'll get old bread, and they'll put that in there for the yeast, for the fermentation. And they add a little water to it, let it brew for a few days, and until it starts bubbling and everything. They'll let out a little. Usually they'll have a little, just like you do it in distillery, have a little straw or something for a little bit of air, but not too much because you don't want to get contamination in there. It still does. It's nasty stuff, so it's not very clean. It's not pasteurized like alcohol is in a distillery. So it's very crude alcohol, and then they will drink it. Often it's cellies. They will drink it then in cups. And yeah, there's been cases where one cellie has gotten the other cellie really drunk, and the other one fakes like they're drinking, but they're really not, because they have those tumblers, that they do, the Tupperware tumblers. They make designs in them. That's when I was there, anyways. That's what they would use. They drink out of that, their coffee or their Pruno. And so then the one guy is really faking.
Right? You never forget the smell of Pruno.
Oh yeah, it's nasty. It's nasty. It tastes nasty, but it gets you. It'll make you hallucinate. I haven't drunken any, but I've had people describe it. And yeah, it can really mess you up just a little bit. So the guys are sitting there in their cell, they're sipping on their Pruno, like I said, and then sometimes they're both doing it because they just want to party. But sometimes they will. Then one guy will fake it and get the other guy real drunk, and then sometimes spike his cup, and so the guy's basically passed out, and then they kill him. So I've seen that. I've also seen where we had a situation at Folsom Prison. I'll never forget this. So they're in the Prison Industry Authority, where they make the furnitures and do the different stuff that CDC sells to other state agencies mostly. And so they had a big 50-gallon a garbage can that they put up in the vent, where it was a hot spot up above. So they got a key. They do it. They got a key. They went up there, and they had that up there for a few days, and they had literally be like a kegger, like remember the old keggers like in college and high school. So then they brought it down. It had to be a few guys because would be heavy, and then that whole crew, and I'm talking about probably 100 guys that were working there on the kitchen crew, they all got drunk. And I'll never forget it because the alarm sounded and they were fighting there in the kitchen, and they brought it out and they were fighting out in the yard. It was a mess. They got back to their houses. Now, these are cellies. They usually get along. They're beating the crap out of each other. It was a mess. Yeah, it was I haven't been to, I've been on ride-alongs, but I didn't do police work. But I've seen it, like on videos, and you've described it. You and Sean described, those kind of situations. But this is in prison setting. Imagine these guys are all either associates or former members. Associates. These are heavy guys. All blasted, all tatted out. These guys were even if they're dropouts, these guys were no wusses. They were buffed and beating the crap out of each other. It was bad. It would be like sometimes they have those UFC all free for alls. Imagine that, like a free for all, but with 100 guys involved in a WWF wrestling match. I mean, it was nuts.
Yeah.
And so, you don't want to mess with Bruno, guys, under the influence of Bruno.
And guys, we're not advocating that Pruno is legal. It's not. You catch somebody, you could throw them in the hole, you could write them a 115, and you could do a lot of harm to an individual that's getting ready to get out, giving them that adverse action for making Pruno. It's not legal in the state of California and the state prisons. But what we're trying to say here is it's there, whether we like it or not. There is heroin in prisons, there is meth in prison, there is fentanyl, every kind of drug that you hear that we have out in the streets. Well, I never saw PCP, but I'm sure it's there somewhere. If it's even still in America, like it was in the 80s.
Spice is real big. You've heard of Spice, Dave? Spice,
yes.
I understand, is real big.
It's real,
which is like they said it's like a synthetic, kind of like semi-marijuana, but it's not. It's bad stuff. I've seen guys really, really whacked out on that stuff.
Yeah. And guys, like I said last week, and I'm going to be real brief because I want to hear you guys. I want to talk about this. I follow boxing. I have a boxing show every Friday called Los Tres Chingones at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. If you ever want to watch us, YouTube channel. But I used to go to a lot of the heavyweight, a lot of the championship fights in Vegas. And one of the things that I noticed going to Vegas for many years, Sean, you and I went we were there for Kovalev. And we're there. I mean, there were fights everywhere years ago. But ever since they legalized marijuana, the last championship fight that I was in Vegas, dude, number one, you could smell weed everywhere. And if you're not high, you're going to get high probably on the contact. And I'm messing around. I know that's not going to happen. But you could smell weed anywhere. But I'll tell you, I was in Vegas at a championship fight about 1.5 years ago, close to 2 years. And I didn't see one fight. I didn't see one homeless person lying on the ground drunk to death. I did not see that. Vegas has changed. I saw people that were getting along. There's probably still killings, probably still stabbings. I saw people that were mellowed. It has completely changed. And I'm not saying it's going to happen at state prisons, but we have seen the after effect of marijuana use. And when I talk about should the California Department of Corrections, it's legal in California. And I know that alcohol is legal too. But if marijuana, and I'm talking about, and I think you and I, Gabe, we talked about that because everybody that's watching the show is going to say, oh my God, they're going to be smoking weed. Everybody. No, I'm talking about gummies. I'm talking about edibles. You know what I mean? If you sold it legally in the state of California, number one, the state would be making money. Number two, they'd be receiving a lot of taxes. And there's money in prisons. And number three, it will calm down the population. And I certainly believe, talking to one individual, matter of fact, Lupe right now stating on here, he says, cannabis alone is medicine. And yes, it is. Cannabis alone is medicine. That's not spite. I believe that if it was legalized, I'm not saying that the Mexican mafia isn't going to take it over, the Aryan Brotherhood, Black Guerrilla family. Dude, there's always going to be dirty cops. There's always going to be mafias. There's always going to be somebody making more money than the other. But one of the things that I talked to an ex-con about, he goes, David, if it was legal, a lot of these guys that are using heroin will probably still use heroin, but all they want to do is just calm down, and marijuana can help them calm down. With that said, Sean, we'll start off with you. give us the controversy or give us what you believe. If, let's say, Chad Bianco won, and one of his first things to do was he's going to change the prison system, which it needs to be changed. It's
Yeah.
too far right, too far left. I mean, bring it to the right, but at the same time, bringing something new that is legal in the state of California, that is not, it's going to cause some type of impairment, but it's going to calm the population down. What's your opinion? And then Gabe, we'll go to you.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's a good idea. I think what's holding everything up is right now federally it's still a Schedule 1.
Yes.
And I think right now there's something in the works where I think Trump wants to take it off Schedule 1 and put it to where it used to be. Because remember back in the day, like when we were growing up down in the South Bay, dude, you got caught with any bit of pot, man, you went to prison for 10 years. You know, seeds, you went to prison.
Yes,
It's
you did.
not that way anymore. A quick story, when we came back from overseas and got back in our house, my dad called me into the house one day. He goes, "Hey, come here." I go, "What?" And he goes, "Hey, we're going to the side yard, and there's a pot plant about this big growing in the side of the yard." And he goes, "What's this?" And I knew what it looked, I knew what pot looked like. And I go, "I don't know, Dad. It looks like a weed." He goes, "How come it's here?" Well, come to find out, the people that own the house, they were growing pot in the side of the yard. And this is happened to be a thing of it. But my point with that was back then, I mean, that was a felony, period. Now it's, things have changed. The medicinal side of it has come out. They're giving it to all sorts of people. And in fact, when my dad was sick, he had complications from Agent Orange and shit. The medicine that they gave him was basically THC in a pill.
Yes.
And I go, "Hey, Dad, you're taking pot." And he wasn't happy about it, but it helped him out. But I think attitudes have changed. We got to be a little bit more progressive in our treatment with certain ailments. And if this helps somebody, more power to them. I mean, looking at now, they're giving LSD to veterans for PTSD.
You know what, Sean? That is working. That is
Yeah.
working in Mexico. It's called IB from. I did a whole study on it. As a matter of fact, I teach it in my classes where I teach officers on PTSD. Dude, I hope Trump just signed it, where they're investing the federal government money into these psychedelic drugs that are going. And as a matter of fact, it's like a 98% success rate on drug addicts.
Yeah.
And like a 96 success rate on police officers, military, persons in general suffering from PTSD and also under concussion trauma. Oh,
Yeah.
I believe in
And
it.
it's controlled. It's not like, LSD back in the 60s and all this other stuff where, you're hallucinating and all sorts of shit. I had a friend of mine that used to do it when after we got out of high school, and we were driving around with him down Palm Avenue. We were heading eastbound on Palm Avenue. We're right at Saturn, and the light was red. There's a San Diego PD guy sitting on the next side of the street, and Mike is not. We had a green light, and we're going, "Mike, come on, let's go. And his head tilted, and he goes, "Hey, the colors are melting." I go, "What are you talking about, dude? The red was melting into the yellow, was melting into the green. We got a cop on the dude. How we got home with him driving is beyond me. But that stuff is, that's the stuff that when you talk about LSD, you talk about marijuana, especially with, the what's the word I'm looking for? The bad side that everybody hears about. But if you get LSD and you're doing it controlled and it's helping somebody, more power. Say with pot, controlled. If it helps somebody, it helps somebody.
Yeah. Now, Gabe, you started your career in Old Folsom. Dude, that is history in the 80s. Then you went to New Folsom. I mean, those are heavy-duty prisons. What is your opinion on it? And tell us about the current drugs that we are giving the inmates, literally giving the inmates. And I don't know if you ever worked the psych unit, but when I was at CMC East, we had D-Quad, where we had all the psychs. Dude, you would be, actually, you're not going to be surprised because you've been there. the type of medications we're giving these inmates legally right now. Tell us about that.
Right. So, as some of the viewers may know, if they've watched my channel, I did a series. I kind of stopped and did a couple episodes on the MA and the NF, but I did a series on Department of Corrections all across the United States. I know we're focusing on California today, but I was very surprised to find that things have changed in the last 10 years. When I was working 10 years ago in the jail, we would give them methadone to wean them off heroin. And that's something, methadone programs have been around since the 60s or maybe even before. So that was nothing new. But what was surprising to me was to hear about they now give them Suboxone, not just in California, but in seems like most of the prison systems that I've covered so far, because I ask investigators, tell me what's going on right there. What's the big drugs that are on the inside? What are the gangs that are, causing problems? And almost all of them now have said that they're giving them Suboxone. So we or society or the government is actually giving inmates Suboxone instead of methadone now. It seems like that's the new trend. And so what they have made it a racket in a lot of places. So what they're doing is the nurse will give them Suboxone and the guy will cheek it. So they give it to them, they put them on their tongue, they put it on their tongue, they then push to the side and they hide it way back there and they open up their mouth to the nurse. Yeah, I took it. But really they didn't. It's cheeked. And so then they'll spit it out and they'll sell it later. Now these guys are supposed to be having that Suboxone to wean them off heroin, but they're selling it. So it could be a racket. Same thing with gummies. I mean, they could do the same thing. They could get their daily dose and then sell it instead. People do what they do in prison. We all know that. They'll figure out ways to circumvent the system. We know that. I know that on one of the previous shows, some people are saying that, hey, Suboxone, weed, that's not the answer. And I don't think neither of us are here, the three of us are actually condoning that.
No.
That's a personal preference. If you're out here on the outside, whether you use marijuana or not, that's a personal preference, but it has been decriminalized, if not legalized, in most states. Here in Hawaii, it's decriminalized. It's still controlled. You have to get a medical card to do it. But I tell you, it's everywhere. They call it pakalolo here. Marijuana, I would say, I'm probably the only neighbor within blocks that don't smoke it. I'm not saying I've never tried it because I have, in my younger days, but it is huge. It is huge. And so, it happens. Now, you have, and I'm not a marijuana expert. There's probably people on here who will say, no, that's wrong. But this is the way I understand it. There's two main strains, sativa and indica. So you have THC, which is the element, tetrahydrocannabinol, I believe it's called, for THC. That's the marijuana we know from the 60s and 70s. It's gotten stronger and stronger. Now they got it so strong. It's like you take one puff today, it was like smoking, 5 joints back in the day when I was growing up, right? It's really strong now. They really got the THC levels up. Now that's the one that can make you hallucinate a little bit. But you have CBDs, the gummies and stuff that a lot of people take at night, and that helps you relax and sleep. So that's not, it takes longer to take effect, but it also lasts longer, and it's more of a mellow kind of thing versus the, bam, that was some real strong stuff and you start coughing and all that. So yeah, we're already giving them Suboxone. As you said, there's a lot of violence in California. There's been over 100. Yeah, I know Hector Bravo will back that up. There's been over 100 in the last, 2 years since the current director of corrections has been in charge. And so it's out of control for various reasons. They've reintegrated yards. There was the sensitive needs yards gangs. I know we're here to talk about gangs today, but real quick overview. You had the big four, the Mexican Mafia, the Nuestra Familia, the Black Guerrilla family, and the Aryan Brotherhood that were controlling the yards. They put them in the SHU. They then kicked them out about 10 years ago to general population, most of those. But during the time they were locked down in the SHUs, you had sensitive needs yards gangs. And those are the ones who were really killing a lot of people. They were cleaning house or they're fighting each other. And so it's a mess in California. I know Hector Bravo would co-sign on that. It is a mess. And they tried a lot of different things, I don't know, you could do maybe at one facility versus a facility that doesn't allow it and do a study on it. I think
Yes,
that'd be a good way to go.
and that's what Trump
Where do
is
you
doing.
have less violence? Take two violent institutions, give one of them CBD. That's the test group.
Yes.
Yeah.
Give it not, give them the gummies, give them the CBD, and then indica and sativa. I think that's the indica. I think sativa is the one with more THC. So correct me, viewers, if I'm wrong. So there, and Nelson, hey brother, good
I
to
was
see you.
about to
You're right.
say, we got a legend.
They're
We
gonna
got a
get
legend.
drugs in there.
That's
They're
right.
smoking K2, the spice.
Yes.
That stuff is whacked. I've seen guys get butt naked, literally crawl up the walls and up on top of the ventilation systems. And the other image are, because they smuggle in the cell phones, they're taking videos of it. And this guy's whacked out and he is going nuts. You can tell the guy's he's in a different world, and they're kind of like laughing at him, some of them, and tell him to get down here, you're gonna hurt yourself. This guy's literally crawling up the walls,
Yes.
and it's
Yeah.
dangerous. So, so what is worse, to let them smuggling these drugs and take these drugs that are far more dangerous, and far more dangerous to the body and the brain, or give them something that'll mellow them out a little, the CBDs. I think it's worth a shot to try it. Maybe it don't work. But how will you know if you don't try it?
You got two major prisons right now where, literally Centinela's blowing up. You got Salinas Valley blowing up. I don't know about Corcoran. I know St. Quentin, it's the rehabilitation. It'd be great if they could do a case study out of Centinela or in Salinas Valley, just a 90-day a 90-day observation study to see if not only the violence within the prison system, but the inmate population, how it affects the inmate population. I love that idea. Hopefully, if Chad Bianco's watching our show, he's been on the Gray Line, our sister channel. If he's watching it, that's something that he might want to put his advisors to study on, because it might make a difference. And you know what, hermano? Nelson, this guy, Nelson, is a retired detective sergeant with Inglewood PD. He was there when it was rocking and rolling. And I'll tell you, the guy's a legend among legends. But we have somebody here that said, I think it was Robbie D, that said the answer is Jesus. And you know what, brother? Without a doubt, the answer is Jesus, without a doubt. But we have to be realistic and see what is going on in the Department of Corrections, that the violence is out of control. And guys, especially coming from me, when I retired in 2015, my last 2 years of my career, I worked narcotics. I would put away anybody with possession of marijuana, that wasn't legal for sales. Dude, I came out of narcotics. And for me to be not advocating, but seeing the reality, do a test study and see if it helps. Guys, and Gabe, Sean, you worked K9. Your dogs were trained to take down marijuana fields, take down marijuana, meth labs. So for us to have an open mind and say, you know what, let's see if it works, and let's see if it does calm down the population. Dude, this is huge. 3 cops talking about this.
Yeah. And you know what? Big V Waters just posted something, and I agree with him in some aspects of that. We're just talking about, we're not talking about legalizing anything really. The way I look at this, Big V, is, if it helps the CDC guys, be more safe inside the confined prison system, I say give it a shot. Give it a shot. But you know what? And we're not talking about legalizing all this other stuff and, everybody having a happy day and whatnot. A couple of things, and I think Nelson brought it up. They will find people will find a way to get high. I mean, just look, the bug spray. I had an incident down in South Bay. A gentleman was chasing a kid down Palm Avenue, and he pulls in. He finally catches him at 16th and Palm, right in front of the Frank's Liquor. and he's on top of him. I get up there, and I go, okay, you get off the kid. And the kid still had a, what was that, a whiteout? Remember the whiteout and the green out, the blue out that we used to do for correcting reports? He had a little bottle of that in his hand. He ended up going 1144. He ended up dying. And the guy that tackled him owned a stationery store in Imperial Beach down by 13th and Palm, 14th and Palm. And the kid went in there and grabbed this thing and ran out the door with it. And as he's running, he's huffing this stuff.
Wow.
And the kid was like 16 years old. And when he finally got caught and he hit the ground, his heart was pumping, 3,000 times a friggin' minute, and he died. And it's all because of this. Now they're doing nitrous, the helium stuff. What was you talked about spice down in Central Division when I was there. I think we had the first case that spice popped up. Even the narc guys, you guys didn't even know about it yet. We didn't know about it. And it was the bath salts. Some sailor got high on bath salts and punched all the windows out of his apartment.
Yeah.
They'll find something
Exactly.
And
get high.
Exactly.
Agent Orange just made a comment earlier, and I posted it up. I'm not going to find it now because we got like 35, 40 comments. But it says, growing up, we were caught with bud. It was crushed on the floor. And a lot of times it was. But I'll tell you one thing. He asked, I think it was him that asked, did we experience the PCP era? And you know what? We did.
Oh, yeah.
This dude fighting with guys under the influence of PCP, but we're not going to get into that because we got so many other things to talk about. And you're right. Some people have paint thinner, glue, and so forth. But I think I want to get into the other subject because the other subject's very interesting too. And by the way, I did talk to a former warden whom I have a lot of respect for. I talked to a former California Department of Corrections warden. And I also spoke this week, because I told them we were going to have this episode, to a former state parole administrator in charge not only of San Diego, Orange County, Imperial Valley. And I got their perspectives on what do you think? Should marijuana be legalized in state prisons? And they both agreed with the condition that it wasn't smoke, that they were edibles. It's legal in California. And if it's going to, and this is a former warden. With all due respect, I'm not going to mention his name. He's not here, but former warden. I personally spoke with him, former parole administrator, high level of parole administrator, and they both agreed that it should be legalized in the state of California in the inmate population. But I think our overall consensus, and I like what you said, Gabe, is let's do a case study. Yeah. Let's start off at Salinas Valley, and let's start off at Calipatria, the two worst prisons right now. And let's just see 90 days, even a year, what difference it makes in the inmate population. And I'm going to say one more thing, Nelson. You know what? Yes, they will always find a way to bring in heroin, bring in meth. They will always, but will they reduce that if it was legalized in our state prisons? Gabe, last thoughts, and then we're going to get into our last subject.
Well, once again, and I understand, this brings up a lot of emotions, just like politics and religions. This is a little bit of both. Jesus drank wine. I'm drinking today. I know some people that are totally against alcohol. For some people, they can't drink. They get crazy, and they shouldn't drink. But Jesus drank wine. So, to say that, putting this that may make you feel a little mellow or a little high is bad. I don't think it goes with the Christian religion, if you want to be honest, in my opinion. Alcohol abuse, I drink a little. I don't overdo it. I don't get into fights with my wife. I don't get so sloppy, stupid drunk that I'm obnoxious. I've seen people that they do that. They get drunk. They're nice people and they drink and they're assholes.
Yep, exactly.
That's exactly. But what I think is happening in America, and a lot of people are right, I think Jesus is the way. Having spirituality, even if you don't believe in Christianity or Jesus, having some kind of spirituality, we talked about that in past shows, is very important. You got to take care of the mind, body, and soul. Oh. And I think we're not doing a very good job of teaching kids in America how to deal with our feelings and emotions and how to, interact with other people peacefully, non-violently when we have issues of contention, when there's stress. And I think we're more stressed now with the technology. It's a good thing. It's also a bad thing. It's made us more stressed out. We're less social, I think, than we used to be before we had our phones. Uh, we communicate maybe not as well, but I believe that we're all changing. We're AI now. That scares the heck out of me. AI is out there. We are being bombarded with technology so fast that our brains, I believe, can't keep up. We can't keep up, and it has increased the stress level. I think there's not too many people I know that won't say that. There's different kinds of stress, maybe than back in the day. So maybe we became a little spoiled, but we are often self-medicating because we're trying to deal with these stresses, whether they're drinking Pruno, whether they're sniffing markers, paint, whatever, taking substances that are really, really wild right now. People will do that when they can't cope. I guess our coping skills are not very good. We haven't taught young people how to cope real well. All the way into adulthood, you have people that are going to take something when they they can't deal with something. That is pretty much a fact. I don't know too many people who will not argue with that. How you deal with that, whether it be going to church, reading the Bible, spirituality, whatever belief system you have, I think that is a big part of the answer. Um, Exercising, taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, reading books, learning more about how the world works and how people work, how to communicate better with people. That's all. Those are all big issues. So I don't think we're so much wanting to reward criminals that committed crimes by giving them gummies.
And you know what?
It's more that this is the reality. They're there in prison as punishment, not for punishment. And so do we want them? Almost all of them are coming out one day. Do we want them to come out better or worse than they went in? To me, that's the real question. And so, yeah, why don't we try this? If it works, fine. If it doesn't work, then we know, after studying it by evidence, by a good study, maybe multiple studies, then we'll know that either this is a move in the right direction or not. But I think even before they go to prison, because they wouldn't have committed those crimes, probably, they had, a little bit better, critical
skills,
decision-making skills.
Yeah, exactly.
But for those are already committed, that may be something to help them deal with some of the stuff they're feeling inside, to lessen the violence. But even as a small child, I think we have to start real young.
Yes.
I went to Bible studies. I don't know how many people went to Sunday school. I don't know about you guys, but I went to Sunday school. I kind of learned that, some of those golden rules, respect, love thy neighbor as they love thyself, those kind of things, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, all the things that are in the 10 Commandments, basic stuff. I think we stop. I'm not saying put that in schools. If you want to go to private school and do that, that's fine too. I think that's a parent decision. But I think just generally, it would be good for society to teach our young people a little better. Teach them young so that don't wind up in prison. Teach them so that where they don't have to rely on chemicals, be it alcohol or drugs or whatever, to deal better with the issues they feel as they're growing up. That's just my personal opinion on that.
And you know what? Lupe says it all. Why risk catching a case for synthetic drugs in prison when you can buy edibles in the canteen? And Lupe, I really like this comment that you made. Where is it at? Okay, right here. Violence would drop and the revenue would skyrocket, and the state would be making money. And and I think who's this right here? Elmo. The weed I seen in prison smelled like caca, and I asked the guy, "Did the bag break?" And he said, there was no bag. So there it is.
Oh, remember the donkey shit cigarettes? Everybody used to go down to Tijuana and get. It's like that crap, It stunk.
Yeah, you never. Remind me that Cheech and Chong movie that Sean was talking about. That's dog shit you're smoking there.
And you know what, Big BJ White is? We love you. You've been with us from the very beginning. That's why it's an open conversation. We appreciate everything you say, brother, and we respect everything you say and everything everybody says without being disrespectful. Guys, we're going to run out of time. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about these guys right here, about the cartel members. Cartel members that basically tell in Mexico on their subordinates, tell on their government, tell on their criminal organizations, and then they come to America and they take pictures like this. We got Benjamin Arellano, we got Gato Marquez from San Diego, we got Toro there, one of the big heavies from, I believe, the Inland Empire, and we got them taking pictures with the Mexican mafia in a federal prison yard. And I think that one of the things that I find it, and we're going to have another segment, we're going to invite you back for that one, Gabe, where we're going to be talking about do the same laws, because within the prison structures, there are laws. And one of the laws is, number one, if you're a chomo, a child molester, you're going to get hit. No matter what, you're going to get hit. And number two, if you tell, and I don't want to use the word rat, but if that's what is going to relay my message, if you debrief, you're going to get hit. Now, why aren't these guys from Mexico, drug cartels, and not only Mexico, Colombia, that are telling, walking among M, walking among Aryan Brotherhood, walking among the yards in California and in federal prisons, why aren't they getting hit? And that's going to be a total new subject. But guys, we're running out of time. Sean, any last comment on the subject matter? Should marijuana be legalized in California Department of Corrections? Make it very clear, not federal prisons or Florida prisons.
If it calms people down and decreases the violence against the CDC guys, I say give it a shot. What do you got to lose?
And I love Gabe's idea. Let's start it off at the worst prisons for a 90-day or a year. Let's start it off and see if it does decrease the violence and also the temperament in the prisons. But above and beyond, it decreases the officers getting assaulted. Getting assaulted. Gabe, any last words, my brother?
Yes, I'm trying to be serious about the subject, but I was just thinking there's going to be a lot of requests for transfers to that place where they allow the CBDs. That's what I was thinking. I'm just keeping it real,
Yeah. And I think, Gabe, that you and I, we could talk about it, and so could Sean, without a doubt, because Sean, like I said, ran our canine unit. They had specialized dogs that were specifically trained as narcotic dogs. So Sean has a lot of experience. He ran one of our narc teams down in South Bay. They were responsible for, tons of meth, marijuana that was confiscated under Sean's leadership as a sergeant. But I think we're the experts, guys. We're the experts when it comes to law enforcement. And I know there's going to be a lot of cops that are going to judge us. But the good thing about our show is, guess what? We don't get paid for this. We don't get monetized for this. So whether we have one person watching, whether we have 20,000 or 50,000, it doesn't matter. What we are here for is to basically have a conversation among camaradas and talk from the heart. So if we offended anybody, any of our fellow law enforcement officers that, believe, oh, no, they should all be sent to hell or sent in one-way ticket to prison, never get out, God bless you for believing that. But you know what? We're in a position now where, Gabe, I am with you 100%. Let's give it a case study and see how marijuana will make a difference, positive or negative, in the worst state prisons right now, Calipatria or Centinela. With that said, guys, I can't believe we ran out of time. Big Sean, any last words, my brother?
No, just what you just mentioned. You know what? We all have our opinions, and that's why we live in the United States of America, because we can have our own opinion. And you know what? We're not going to get chastised. We're not going to, hopefully, not get shot and beat up like this poor gentleman in Escondido the other day that got beat up because he had the flags out in his front yard. So, anyways, other than that, treat each other with kindness and love the Lord, and just be safe.
Amen. And Gabe, prayers for you, for your beautiful wife, for your family, for your neighbors, our brothers and sisters in Hawaii. May this be the last of earthquakes, the last of tragedies over there. But you know what? Right now, you're getting hit. We're getting ready for hurricane season. Sean, you're getting ready for the big earthquake. You're getting ready for the big fire. But brother, at the end of the day, you know what? We believe in the process, and we believe in not only the process, but we believe in the one that allows things to happen, our Lord and Savior. Let me just end it with this. We're going to hear from you, Gabe, right now. But one of the things that I want to mention, we don't talk about religion here. I don't push the Catholic Church, Jehovah's Witness, the Muslims. Dude, we talk about an experience. And that experience that I have had and we have had has been with the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, not with a religion, not under a pastorship, not under a building. It was a personal experience when we talk about our experience. Gabe, last words, my brother.
Well, we just had Pentecost Sunday. I watched the Pope at the Vatican. It was very beautiful. My wife is very devout Catholic. I'm more spiritual. I think I've told people that before. So, I'm not against Christianity. I'm not against any religion or belief system. I do think that we all should have a belief system. Otherwise, we're going to be lost in this life. So I believe there's a higher power. There is a God. That's just the basics right there. From there, people go off into their different denominations and stuff. That's cool with me, as long as they hopefully believe that there is a reason why we're here, that we just didn't land here by circumstance. I think we all have a purpose in life and on this earth, and hopefully that is to help each other. And I don't think we're trying to encourage offenders in custody to engage in negative behaviors. Some people may think that drinking and taking drugs is negative. If it helps them get to the next phase, move past all the violence and anger they're feeling right now, I think that's okay. Maybe I'm not saying that's a permanent solution, but maybe as a temporary solution. And that's why I say maybe do a test study. What do we got to lose? Right now, it's bad. It can't get much worse. I shouldn't say that, because it can. We just had Memorial Day. We had a lot of people who died. I see your flag behind you, Dave.
Yes.
There's people who gave their life, like Sean said, for us to have the freedoms in this country that a lot of other people don't have. We will be put in prison in a lot of countries for having this show.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
We can at least discuss it. People can make up their own minds. We're just presenting some possible issues. We don't know it all, but we do have a little experience behind us, all three of us. And so, yeah, at least think about it, consider it, and then, we'll see what happens.
Amen. And guys, like I always say, trust the process, but above and beyond, trust the author. And our authors are Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Thank you. God bless you. We'll see you next Tuesday on the Gray Line.
Boom, boom, ba-da-da.
If you ever see the boy from me, tell him that I love him. Tell him that I care. If he ever needs me, tell him I'll be there. It happened. I didn't mean what